Will council please come to order, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Anderson.
Present.
Oliver.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Hager-Smith.
Here.
Mattingly.
Here.
Sutphen.
Here.
Watson.
Present.
Will the Vice Mayor please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We begin tonight with the consent agenda, and that starts with approval of town council minutes for April 9, April 16, and April 23. We have also Ordinance 2056 to authorize the use of photo speed monitoring devices in school crossing zones by adding new section 12-114 to the town code. We're going to introduce that tonight, and we're scheduling our public hearing for June 11. We have a Blacksburg Transit Substance Abuse Policy. We're approving it this evening, a Resolution 5A24, supporting Virginia Department of Transportation Smart Scale application for fiscal year 2026, and we will approve that as well. What is council's pleasure on our consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Oliver.
Aye.
Ford.
Aye.
Hager-Smith.
Aye.
Mattingly.
Aye.
Sutphen.
Aye.
Watson.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
We have public hearings we have no public hearings this evening. And so I am going to have a short reading myself here to introduce our citizen comment section. Quite a few of you are here, I think, for the Free Gaza group that assembled outside a few minutes ago, but not all of you. So there's more than one topic on people's minds tonight, and I want us to be plain about that. There's always an opportunity for disagreement in a free society, and there might be some tonight. I ask that you not applaud or snap your fingers, boo, or do any other demonstrative act, as that could distract or intimidate someone who wants to speak. We can disagree on issues, topics, and the like, but please show respect for one another as we disagree. And if someone should yell from the audience or otherwise interrupt the meeting, I'm going to give a warning to stop. And if it continues, those interrupting may be asked to leave the building, and if necessary, to be escorted out. And then we'll have a recess. So that will be our protocol for this evening. And at that, I will invite anyone who would like to speak on any topic to come forward. You don't have to be a resident of the town of Blacksburg, but I would like you to begin by stating your name and your address plainly so that our clerk can record that. And with that, we can begin. Please come forward.
Sure.
Evidently, some of you know who I am. For those that don't, my name is James Andrew Thomas Earthman, and I'm a resident of Eggleston, Virginia, presently. I've been a resident of the New River Valley in the town of Blacksburg off and on for over 50 years. I had a couple of interactions with some of your Blacksburg police officers. You may or may not be aware of those interactions. I did send an email out to the town council listing my grievance, explaining my grievance and what happened. What happened is two Blacksburg police officers violated my civil rights, and they maliciously prosecuted me for disorderly conduct for words that they didn't appreciate. They weren't violent words, they weren't threatening words. They were in fact protected under the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And a judge agreed with me when he dismissed the charge because there was no evidence to support it. Now, I had to go to court twice to defend myself against these malicious officers and their prosecution. I reached out to Larry Spencer, your town attorney, numerous times regarding this, and he just dismissed me, Clearly, he was hoping for a different outcome than a dismissal of the charge. The police report is very simple. On Saturday, November 5th, 2023, Officers Green and Tubert were assigned to a traffic post at South Main Street and Airport Road for traffic leaving the Virginia Tech football game. South Main Street was cut to one lane going south, and traffic could not turn onto Airport from South Main Street as usual. I wasn't aware of that. While on post, a male stopped at the traffic lane on South Main Street. Officer Tuber walked over to the male, who was in a gray Ford Fusion. The male had his window down and seemed upset due to not being able to turn onto Airport. The male made an inquiry. He asked how I'm supposed to pick up my customer with you having the road blocked off. Officer Tubert's respond very quickly, very bluntly, very firmly. You're blocking traffic. I need you to move on. Didn't assist me one way or another. Was not interested in assisting me at all. He just dismissed me. I canceled my ride. I was acting as a ride-share driver at the time. My rider was on speakerphone. She canceled the ride. I immediately accepted another request that directed me to Southgate Drive and Airport, where I found another roadblock. I asked the state trooper the same question, was provided an answer.
Mr. Earthman, that is 3 minutes.
Very well, I'll come back another time then, if that's what we need to do. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Who else would like to speak this evening?
Sir, you left your phone.
Thank you.
My name is Susan DeLay. I live at 302 Cherokee Drive in Blacksburg, Virginia. And before I speak for the coalition that I'm representing tonight, I want to speak for myself. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the 15,000 dead children in Gaza who no longer speak for themselves. They have no voice. So I'm here as an advocate for the children and the families that are no longer existing on this earth. So we, the people of the town of Blacksburg, and a few members of the surrounding New River Valley community are going to put forth a vote of no confidence to the current Blacksburg Town Council due to the council's ignoring this community's demand for a permanent ceasefire resolution. Before we do this, we invite members of the Blacksburg Town Council to join us by hearing us out and putting forth a vote with the goal of passing a ceasefire resolution. We've gathered and presented our ceasefire petition previously, which currently has over 450 digital and at least 50 more physical signatures. And the town council has not even called a vote to meet our demands, only released a statement that we didn't ask for and otherwise ignored us. The town council also has ignored at least one instance of Islamophobia that has occurred from one public commenter calling a previous child commenter a, quote, homegrown terrorist, unquote. When we initially started coming here to address the genocide on March 12th, there were at least 31,184 Palestinians killed and at least 72,889 injuries. Now there have been at least 34,904 deaths and at least 78,514 injuries. That's 3,720 more people killed and 5,625 more injured since our initial ceasefire resolution draft was presented, a number that is expected to skyrocket with the invasion of Rafah. So the question is, will you all work with us to put forth the vote for a ceasefire resolution? Today, right now.
Thank you. That's your time.
We have 18 seconds.
I would like to say all of those of you behind me, who I'm representing, who wish to speak or act for the people of Blacksburg, please rise and follow us out of the room to the lawn where we will hold the first People's Council of Blacksburg and address the community's request for a ceasefire resolution.
We invite you to join us and hear what the community has to say.
Okay, thank you.
Every day is Mother's Day until we stop this war.
Think about the children.
We are still in citizen comment, and I wonder if anybody else would like to come forward and speak.
Hey, hi there. My name is Dustin Crawford. I'm a resident of Christiansburg, but I do work at the Blacksburg Post Office. How you doing? I'm here to kind of mend the connect between some of our essential workers in the town. I think over COVID, we've kind of lost some of the connections we've had as far as some of the new developments. And I'll discuss that through an issue that we're currently dealing with the new development with West Hill. So because there has been an absence of communication, we've had some problems with the addresses. Currently, I've brought a little map for you to look at. Sorry, it's only one copy. But if you go down Coneflower, you'll see that the same numbers on the northeast side, which is up to code for Montgomery County, and the southwest side have the exact same numbers. So as you're driving down, yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Is it Westville? Is that what the name of this?
West Hill.
West Hill. That's the name of the new one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I can pass that around for you if that's okay, or all right. Okay. Thank you. So things like this are not that easy to fix, but it's good that we start the process now. I've been in communication with some of the fire department, the 911 services for NRV, and they're also going to investigate how this is going to affect them. You can imagine someone going to an emergency, going down the street and saying, okay, well, I have an emergency at 2013. Now there's a 2013 on the left, 2013 on the right. Which one do I go to? Do I flip a coin? We don't want to delay these kind of services. I know that this is outside of the town, but these issues could manifest themselves if we don't correct them, if we don't have that communication with all the developments that we're having in Blacksburg. If there is any need for you to reach out to the post office, I have my business cards here as well. If you have any questions, I am the rural union steward. I'm also the treasurer for the local, which is the New River Valley. I'm also on the executive board for the state of Virginia. And that's over 9,000 carriers that we're dealing with. We're dealing with some consolidation issues on the national level, things that could affect our service locally. So there are changes coming, but I would like to keep you abreast of those situations.
Can I ask my staff, how does that happen? That's weird.
Yeah, in the town sets the addressing. So in the county, I assume it's the same.
Usually their GIS manager.
Yeah.
We should talk and I can get everybody connected to
Yeah.
I think what happened was like the original, the mapping, they didn't show which side of the street the houses were going to face. So essentially what happened was they're using the private driveways which go into the backs of the houses, as opposed to the norm, which is your house faces the street, that's your street. So I think it might have been just some miscommunication. Again, this is why I'm here, trying to mend this, moving forward. We'll see what we can do.
Have you reached out to the county? Yeah, county GIS? Okay.
Yes, I have. And Mr. Sutherland, who is a proponent of the post office, his father was actually a postmaster. He's been really easy to work with, but there's still been some miscommunication, and we're trying to see if we can get all of our bases covered before we move forward. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is Matt Hanratty, who,
Matt,
yeah,
very good. Yeah, we'll get with you.
thank you.
Thank you very
Wait,
much.
You get that back, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Is there anybody? Yes, please.
Good evening. I'm Charles Shade. I live at 401 Claremont Drive in Blacksburg. I'm here to talk about one issue that I plan to talk about and to make a comment on the other. One issue I plan to talk about is the ordinance that you have on the consent agenda tonight. I'm not sure I can be present when the public hearing occurs, so I want to pre-testify. And I want to tell you that that ordinance is very important. I hope you pass it. I'm familiar with the Insurance Institute on Highway Safety, and some of you are probably familiar with their research, which shows that speed cameras do several good things, two of which are they do result in reduced speeds, and they result in reduced crashes. Now, I live up Clay Street, which it tends to be a speedway from time to time. I'm not suggesting speed cameras, but you've already heard me talk about the need to remedy some of the defects on Clay Street. One more defect is it's a raceway. Some speed calming improvements might help, or speed cameras, but I think speed calming would work. But my message to you is, if I'm not here for the public hearing, count me as strongly supportive. And the second minor point I want to make is actually a major point, but that is I heard the people who spoke before me. I'm not out in the street demonstrating with them, though you've probably seen me out in the street demonstrating from time to time, because our religious group has a small monthly demonstration, generic peace demonstration at the post office. We are mightily concerned about the issue that our friends outside are concerned about. I understand why the town does not propose to support a resolution at this time. But I also understand that there's some people who are very seriously distraught, including me. I am beyond distraught at what's going on in Palestine. So I am hoping that the council can, in fact, in some way, seize the opportunity to interact with these young people. And I'm not sure the town can do anything. But if there's a way for the town to be constructively involved, I hope you will seize the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shade. I do not ordinarily engage in a back and forth because it's inappropriate for us to be on the dais and speaking down to you. However, because you asked, I think it is important to remind people that the town council sat in discernment for some long time, and we did write a statement on the Gaza conflict, expressing our despair and our lack of support. And we did what we thought was essential to the request that had been made, which was, because Blacksburg Town Council doesn't have any control over international affairs, we escalated it, we elevated it to the other levels of elective office above us. So we have sent to Morgan Griffith's office and to Chris Obenshain's, to Senators Warner and Kane, and also to the White House. And we have received responses from everyone except the president, who presumably is too busy for us right now. But I did want to acknowledge your distress. We are still in citizen comment.
James Hardell, 233 Price Street. I want you to have copies of this. This was written in 2006 by Charles Krauthammer. And he tells about land without peace. And I could tell you in here that there were 4 times that Israelis were going to allow a state for Palestine. And 4 times it was refused. And it's still refused today. Do you know why? Because they will not recognize Israel as a state. They simply do not want that to happen, and they're still at that today. One thing I notice is the students that are coming up to talk to you never apologize for October 7th and the massacre that Hamas created. And that's not just Hamas, that's the Palestinian groups that lived over in Gaza. So, what would you expect? But I'm glad to see you have these.
Thank you.
For 3D.
Good evening. My name's Waverly Evans. I live at 205 Franklin Drive, Blacksburg, Virginia. And it's another installment of The Usual Suspects, okay? I'm here to voice dissent for the crowd that was in here. I'm who they were talking about, that I'm have Islamophobic thoughts, and I did call out the young gentleman that came up here, and it's a public record. You can go back and you can look at the video what that little boy did. He came up here, read a prepared statement by somebody else. It was way over his head what he wrote, but yet he said some really mean and hurtful things, and then sat there and called you guys liars. And this is what we're having to face now in our society. And it gives me no great, it doesn't make me feel good to sit here and say, this is what we're going to face. This is what's coming down the road. This is what's coming down the pike. The older student that's a student at Blacksburg High School came up here and he thumped his fist on the table and he said, what's the difference between me and those other children that all they want to do is be fed and they want to be safe? What's the difference between me? Why can't they have what I have? It's pretty simple. We have freedom. We have a policy, a way of going about having people represent us that we can vote them in. And we can have representation. They can't have representation. They haven't had representation ever since Hamas was voted in. And that's the difference, is that we can have representation and we can do what's best for us and not have somebody tell us what is best for us. So I don't know what to do about this. You know, I show up every 2 weeks because somebody's got to. And it's Mr. Hardell and I are the only 2 that show up. And it distresses me that a lady stands here and says that she speaks for the town of Blacksburg, for the citizens of Blacksburg. She never spoke to me. She never spoke to a lot of the other people out here that don't believe in what they think. And there's a lot of them, but nobody comes down because it's just, they realize that it's to them it's useless. They're empty words. But I show up. I show up every 2 weeks, and I'll continue to. And I'll try to be more prepared next time and be able to go against some of the facts and the things that they hold up as facts. And I'll try to be constructive. I don't like calling out stuff like that, but somebody has to. And this is what we are facing, and it's distressing. So I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you for letting me come and talk.
Thank you. Who else do we have who would like to speak this evening? Thank you. Seeing no one else, I am going to close citizen comments. Do we have unfinished business this evening? Okay. I have a bit of new business, and I would like to read a proclamation that we have this evening. And this is to support emergency medical services in our community. And I'll begin now. Whereas emergency medical services provide a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, emergency medical directors, paramedics, dispatchers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, educators, administrators, nurses, physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. Whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value, selflessness, and accomplishments of all emergency medical services providers, now therefore be it resolved that I, Leslie Hager Smith, Mayor of the Town of Blacksburg, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19 to 25, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week, and encourage the community to observe this occasion by showing their support for their local EMS providers and taking steps to improve their personal safety and preparedness. And I wonder, do we have other bits of new business? No. Okay. Council announcements.
I would just like to congratulate all the high school students in Montgomery County that are graduating this Saturday, including my son. So this is the first year in several that we don't have all their names written on the windows of all our downtown establishments, but they are all, we think very highly of them and are very excited for their futures. Yeah.
And I'd like to remind everyone that there's plenty of parking downtown in the next few months, so please come downtown.
Anyone else?
Just a reminder that very soon, we don't have an exact date, but the Draper Road closed area will be getting a facelift in the next couple of weeks. So be prepared for that space to be in a state of transition for a few weeks.
But will look great
But will
very
look great
soon.
when it's done.
You're a member of the stakeholders group for the Toms Creek Basin
Yes.
study. Can you tell us about what the next?
Well, there's been some media coverage. The process, we are studying the possibility of future development in Toms Creek, what that might look like, what our priorities are. We've had one meeting of about a dozen stakeholders. The consensus has been that we want to maintain the rural character, and conserve is, conservation being a priority. How that's going to look, we don't know yet. It's going to be a 12-month process, and there will be many opportunities for citizen input. So as we begin to move through that process, be on the lookout for opportunities to share your thoughts, concerns, and ideas with us.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Seeing nothing else, we are now adjourned.